golden ticket. It's kind of changing. Bro, big man thing. It was kind of changing.
No, it's true. No, it's true. It's true. It's true. Like we had that thing about being soft for Arsenal. You know, it either goes two ways. You rough us up, you have a chance, or you let us play our Wenger ball and things like that. You hit us on the counter. Bob's your uncle, innit? We all know how the story went for years.
Bro, when Troy Deeney came on our show and we was talking about, bro, what was like about Arsenal? He said, bro, he even said I liked Arsenal. He said, I rate Arsenal. I love the way how you lot play. We know we can't play ball for ball with you lot. We can't do it. We're gonna get booked off the park. But at the time, he said, what we did know is you guys didn't fancy it. When it came down to the nitty gritties and the corners and the shuffling, the hustle and bustle and pushing man and stepping on a man's toe, he said we knew as a collective we had that over you lot. Because mentally, what you did when you did have it with the Keowns, the Adams, the Vieiras, it left. And obviously a lot of teams knew that. So they knew they could bully us. That's another thing with this team now. I say that to say this team's more stronger physically. Yeah. Arteta said, okay.
We're getting some height in the team as well.
The team's massive now, bro. It's a big physical team. And it looks great matching up against City because they're a big team themselves. So we matched up against them when we played them in the Charity Shield. We didn't look small. We didn't look intimidated. Like, obviously, they played great ball, but physically, corners and all this other stuff, they couldn't beat us.
Like you said, belief, because against City, there were periods, obviously, they're going to have us camped in a half. We're going to rely on Ramsdale. There might be a heart-in-mouth moment, but we keep fighting. And that's what I do like about Mikel Arteta. What have you made of Arteta since he's become gaffer?
Bruv, I've liked him from day one, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I swear to God, I've never said Arteta out. I've never tweeted it. I've never said it online. No social platform. Never. I was the only one on my show that was saying, "Yo, give him time." Everyone was like, "Nah, he's done." I'm saying, "Yo, give him time," because I could see what he's trying to do. I could see the patterns of play, but you don't have the players. That's all I was saying to the man. Then he don't have the players. This is not his team. So what he's doing right now, he's playing a back five, which he was. Remember, he's three at the back and he's playing two wing backs. He has to because we can't lose games.
And he didn't trust them at the time. You're right.
Didn't trust them. You man ain't good enough to play ball at the back. My keeper, Bert Leno, weren't good enough to pass out the back. Socrates ain't good enough to pass out the back.
Definitely not, really. Luis can do it, but he just can't be focused for 90 minutes.
Exactly. Bellerin, you're not good enough to do that, etc., etc. So I've always been behind him. Even when he finished 8th, and when he finished 8th twice and he finished 5th, I could see the transition. I could see that we're playing a bit attractive, better football. It's getting better. We're getting the players in. Now that we're here, I think he's the manager to take us forward, bro. And I think that's another thing. When other fans say, "Yo, you lot must suck him if you don't win anything," I think generally they're saying that because they know they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared.
Yeah, man. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, man. Like, bro, the context would have to apply. They have to finish 10th and football's dead and results are on the floor. I wouldn't agree with that, really, especially when obviously I'm not in charge of it, but I can't sit here and say who takes over this project in line with what we're doing if Arteta leaves tomorrow. I like Xabi Alonso at Leverkusen, for example, but I could, or De Zerbi at Brighton, but I don't know the plans. And it goes back to what we said earlier. It's just agendas. You must do this, you must do that. Exactly. Don't get it twisted. Expectations are there. Money's been spent, and not that there's been many managers. Post Wenger, he's had the most sort of authority over the team. Like, Emre had to be a bit more diplomatic. He was allowed to rub players out and cancel up contracts. But Arteta's the man for now, man. And you touched on it there. You know, for me, the year we finished 5th is when I was like, okay, I see what really and truly what you're doing now. Obviously, we fell short, and then the next year we did better. And last year, obviously, we saw how it ended, but it was good in between. So I'm cool with Arteta, man.
Yeah, bro, because people don't clip this up, whatever. I'm not comparing him to Klopp. I think Klopp is a better manager than Arteta. He is. But what the thing is, the difference between Klopp and Arteta just, it came sporadically. Arsenal came out of nowhere. It wasn't meant to happen. Klopp, it was a general progress. You could see the progression. And what gave Klopp credit in the bank? He banked the Champions League. So that gave him credit in the bank. Obviously, we banked a FA Cup, but that don't hold as much weight. Obviously not. So when Klopp was going against this juggernaut team of Pep Guardiola and this Man City team, and he was coming up short every 2 seconds, no one was saying if he doesn't win the next season, he has to get sacked. They were saying they need to kick on and try go again and try catch them
and get something that moves the needle for them. Yeah,
exactly. And no one's having that same energy for us. But I don't want anybody to have that same energy of us. But I'm just saying, use the same logic. You know what I'm saying? Because Arteta's theoretically is doing the same thing that Klopp's trying to do, trying to chase down this manager. He's one of the best managers, if not is an argument, the best manager ever. And it's hard. This guy Arteta just came into management 3 years ago, bro.
Exactly, exactly. He's still in not to disrespect him, but he's still a baby in terms of a manager, really and truly. He's still learning on the job, and he will make mistakes and things like that. So, what would you say our squad is better this year versus last year? Because that's been a debate for Arsenal fans, or is it like a sideways step?
I think we've improved drastically in the midfield, obviously with Declan Rice. So, but at the same time, people would say Havertz has dragged us back. I think if Timber was fit, I'd say yes. But because Timber's
I'd
not
agree
fit,
with that.
Because Timber's not fit, it's like let's see how far we could ride this wave personally. But if we had Timber, because defensively, I think we'd be all right. I don't think we'll concede that much goals. If we had Timber, I still think we'll be defensively all right now. But with Timber, I think it would just been even more like it would have been sharp shot. But it's improved. I think we could have done with a striker. I personally think, and I'm no
happy you said that still.
Yeah, no shade at Eddie Nketiah because I think he's good.
He's developing quite well, man. He's becoming a household Premier League name of sorts. I just don't think our two strikers get enough goals. I believe in Jesus. I think you're too good enough not to get 20 odd league goals. But as you said, we're fighting City. They've got Haaland, Bagsman. They've got Alvarez, Bagsman. They've got plenty of other quality. I do think we need a striker. I do think we'll get one next summer. Who that is, I don't know. The market looks meaty, really.
Bruv, I tweeted this morning, Arsenal's only missing piece, and I put a picture of Osimhen.
Yeah, that's why I was going to ask you about striker, because I see that tweet still. Bruv, I was like, yeah.
He's the only... And people say, yeah, it's far-fetched, you're not going to get him. We might not, but listen, if you want to try to catch the Man Cities, if you want to be up there competing in Champions League against the Bayern Munichs, the Real Madrids, and all these other top-tier teams, you
need a Bagsman.
You need him because he's at a good club, Napoli. They're a good club, and what he done for them last season, and Skillier on the left-hand side, and whatever it may be, Kim Min-jae, great, they won the league, but he's not staying there forever because Napoli, the Italian league for one is a good league, but they don't generate as much money, and two, the competition's not that high, and three, obviously he wants to come to the Premier League. Ultimately, everyone wants to come in the Premier League. It's the big window. Everybody wants to be there. So if you want to take it to the next level, Arsenal or anyone who wants to get that player, you need to get Osimhen or a player like him because he's a rare commodity right now because he's one of the best strikers in the league in the world right now. Not saying he's world class, but in the pool of strikers that's around at a club that is not really going to kick on, if that makes sense. I'm saying he's the kind of player that we need, bro. Someone like Osimhen will take us to the next level. Could you imagine you had Osimhen in this team?
Bro, we go from scoring 80 odd goals, not even just Osimhen, anyone really of that realm. You go from getting 80 odd goals to 100, and then you've got the best of both worlds where Jesus, if you could score 20 odd league goals and do what you're doing, great. Eddie, if you could chip in the Sakas, the Martinellis, all them man, Odegaards, if they could keep scoring, we're great. Because one thing I have liked about Arteta, more so last year than necessarily now, the goals are getting spread around really. You know, if Saka, when he first was coming through and doing his goal scoring, if Saka weren't bagging, we weren't really scoring or we weren't really going to do anything. You've obviously got Trossard who can get a goal or two as well and an assist. So I'm here for it, man. What do you make of Havertz really? Because you know, obviously we all know Declan Rice has been great. Timber, you've showed me something new in the same way. Like I was Team Tierney, but when I saw what Zinchenko brings, it's hard to go back. The same with Timber. So many people be happy with them two signings, but Havertz is the one where like, oh, you know what? And I'm pretty sure you're the same ilk where, you know, I definitely weren't saying sign Havertz, but I'll trust in Arteta. But like, I don't understand football like you, Arteta. But like this Havertz thing, I don't know like what's going on. Really, 60 odd million. It's a bit crazy.
I can see the logical side behind it. What he did think and how he thinks it's going to pan out. Obviously, last year, Granit Xhaka, he was a free role. If you want to think, to be honest, like he'll do his defensive duties because I think that's his way inclined. I think he loves a tackle. He loves a challenge, so he would do that anyway. But Arteta said, you know what, you're more damage down here. You're more damage to the team, more of a detriment to the team down here than you up there.
Facts.
Go up, go push up, go do that, go press and do what you got to do. So I think he had that mentality in his head where, okay, cool. If I can get a player that's probably the same stature as Granit Xhaka, because he's not a small man. Kai Havertz.
No, that's the thing with Havertz. He's 6 foot odd. He does help us out physically. I just think when you compare him to Xhaka, obviously, like you said, Xhaka's committed. He's flying into tackles. He's a heart on sleeve kind of guy. It's easy to describe him as physical. You don't necessarily see that watching the games with Havertz, even though he does do that kind of stuff. And I do think he helps out defensively. I don't know what he's missing. I think he's missing a bunch of things for me, man.
Yeah, and Arteta's probably thinking, okay, once this hits, and if it might do, it might not. It could be a success because obviously he's more creative than Granit Xhaka. Obviously, in front of goal, he's not a bagsman, but he scores goals. He's more cool, calm, collected than Granit Xhaka. Xhaka's a midfielder. Havertz has been playing up front most of his life, or in the final third
He
of the
needs to
pitch.
find them shooting boots, though. I
He needs
can't
to
even
find,
lie,
yeah,
man.
he needs to find it. But yeah, so in a free, like I could see what Arteta wants to happen and how he wants and how he could see the vision of his team panning out with Havertz in there. But at the same time, right now, it's not working. And at the same time, while it's not working, it's a bit of a detriment to the team because that left-hand side is looking lopsided, and it's hurting Martinelli because there's times even
I
against
agree.
Manchester United, he didn't know when to overlap or like they just look out of sync. They look like two footballers that's just playing with each other that don't know each other, but they're just going off vibes. There's no synchronization.
Probably are, man. They ain't played much together, man. You're probably
Yeah,
right.
yeah, facts. And they haven't played with each other for long, but I'm gonna give it time because 4 games, bro. Come on, what the hell is this?
No.
4 games,
I agree with you, man. People can't draw him out after 4 games. You can be underwhelmed. You can ask questions. I'm not saying give him time to give him time's sake, but I do think it's only been 4 games. And to be honest, the last 2 games are the only ones I've thought, okay, Havertz, I can't see enough now. United, don't think he did enough. Fulham, think he was underwhelming.
Maybe it takes a game like the North London derby to just kick him on because sometimes it takes big moments and big goals in football to make somebody's career kick on, so you can actually feel like, okay, I belong here. The fans, he might get. I would love him to get like a brace against Tottenham or a big club or a meaningful game where we need to score. I'd love it because maybe that's the confidence he needs. Okay, cool. Because these players know what's happening, bro. They all listen to social media. Everyone has phones. Everyone scrolls, so he knows the.
Everyone's got friends and family that you might find this really and truly. Like, and plus they're self-reflecting. They know that they say Havertz knows he's not playing well enough, or in his mind he's not playing as well as he wants to. Like no one would have to tell him that.
He knows that. Arteta hears it. The teammates hear it. So obviously it's a confidence thing. Some players they're confidence players. You put their arm around them, and you show trust in them, which is Arteta is doing, because he's probably thinking, yo, if I bench this guy 4 games in, his confidence is shot. And that's the difference between Arteta and certain other managers. Certain managers is ruthless of benching, you're not good enough. Where Arteta is a good man, he's good man management. He's very good at that. He was good at that at Man City. Even some of the City players have said that. Kevin De Bruyne said it. His man management 1-to-1, even interacting.
You watch the documentaries, you're right.
Yeah, interacting with people and interacting with players. He's great at that. So maybe he's just putting his faith in Havertz. Probably a bit too longer than what we expect or what we think he should be, but he's the manager at the end of the day, and I just want to give him a bit more than 4 games, because if he scores something that scores a clinical goal for us or a crucial goal, and if it does get right, he could be a big game player, because he is working hard off the ball. Not great, but he's not just walking around and doing it, not doing it. He's doing bits and bobs, don't get me wrong, but it's not enough. Because if this was Arsenal 3 years ago and we signed Havertz and he's doing this, maybe we'd be like, okay,
for him, man.
It'd be peak for him. And at the same time, some fan base would be like, okay, cool, this is the standards we're at. But now we've taken it to another level. We're not at that level no more where you could just be carrying man, and we're trying to win the league. When you're trying to win the league, you can't have no passengers, bro. Probably for a game or 2, but not for games. So I'm giving him time personally, because 4 games in and everybody's crucifying this man and all these other clubs' agendas and you cost 60 million. I said, bro, so what? Like, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, for someone like Havertz as well, because no one expected us to get Havertz. No one said, the key thing is to get Havertz. Now, no one said that. But at the same time, I kind of trust Arteta to some degree. He's got that much credit from me in the bank, because Ramsdale, no one wanted him. That was an outroll when he was linked to
People didn't want Benjamin White either.
50 million.
People didn't even want Odegaard, much less off the back of his loan spell. Really?
Facts. People were saying, why are you getting Odegaard when you could get Maddison there for half the price? Blah, blah, blah. So he knows what he wants. He's got most of the pieces put together. So he knows what he's meant to look like. He just has to just have us up and running, and hopefully it's very soon, man. So it'd be nice if he scored against Tottenham, North London derby. I think that'll give him confidence and give him a sense of belief, like, okay, I belong here. These fans are behind me. Because we haven't been behind him as much as we've been Declan Rice. He hasn't had the same support. And I'm not saying I feel sorry for him. I don't, because he's a professional footballer. They're getting paid big bread. He's getting paid the most at the club. So you're meant to be performing, but at the same time, I'm giving him more than 4 games. That's all I'm saying. But if it gets to like the 10th game, or the 7th game, or the 8th game, whatever game it may be, and you're still putting in these kind of performances, brother, something has to happen. Because there's other players on the bench like Smith Rowe, players like Trossard.
Fabio Vieira's banging on the door. Must be banging on the door. You
could even play a Jesus there and play Eddie up front. Even he could
run stuff like that, to be fair with you.
I'm just saying something different. I'm not saying it should happen. Something different. You know what I'm saying? Play Jorginho deeper. play Rice up the pitch or play Rice
Tweak the system, as Arteta has shown he's not scared to do. Make us unpredictable, as he said.
Yeah, and like it's not at the days where Arsenal had only 3 men on the bench. We've got man on the bench that's ready to come and play now.
And affect the game positively, impact us, as Arteta says.
100%.
As shown against United, ironically.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give him a bit more time still, me personally, because I just don't think as a fan base, I personally thought that we was over that, crucifying our players, and to a certain degree.
Nah, we're never going to leave that, bro. You know, Arsenal fans, we will gas up players to the high heavens, but at the same token, we'll crucify players, man. Even towards the end of last year, Saka, everybody loves Saka, but every now and again, there's sections of Arsenal fans, they're on to Saka, they're on to Jorginho, they're on to this guy, they're on to that guy, man. And it just shows how fickle football is. And at the same time, I wouldn't even call it fickle, because it is about what you're doing, not necessarily about what you've done. And I don't believe in necessarily being loyal to the players past the point. We're loyal to the football club. And at the end of the day, you know, we just want the best for the football club. You made some interesting points. And that's how I feel about Havertz, in the sense of Arteta's earned credit in the bank for me. It doesn't mean I'll blindly follow anything, but if you're saying Arteta's not going to deploy a system or bring in individuals that's going to harm us in it. So I'll give Arteta the luxury of the doubt with Havertz. You must see something in it. But at the same time, you know, other players are banging on the door. You know, the collective comes before the individuals. And at some point, something has to change with Havertz, maybe dropping him to the bench to allow him to install that confidence. And at the same time, when I look at Havertz, you're a Champions League winner, you're a German international, you've got a wealth of experience coming into this team. I look at you in the same vein. I kind of looked at Jesus, Zinchenko, Odegaard, Ramsdale. I know Ramsdale got relegated, but you've been in high pressure professional environments where there's hella testosterone, you win, lose and draw, it's all handbags and stuff like that. So it kind of the problem with Havertz, and I do like the fact that Havertz can play in a couple of roles, but I think he needs to discover himself. And I think it's a thing where he's going to play as a left 8 or maybe even a right 8 once, but you can play up front. I just think, as you said, Havertz just needs a goal or anything and then he's going. But at the same time, my biggest worry is, obviously, when you're playing for Arsenal Football Club, you've got to get that confidence yourself. Arteta can tell you everything. Your parents can tell you everything. Your family can tell you everything. But he needs to get into that headspace where if I have a good game, I'm not a bad player. If I have a good game, I'm not necessarily a good player. I just got to keep going, man. And I agree with what you said in that, regardless of what we think about Havertz, whether it works or not, I don't want to write a man off that's probably signed a 4 or 5 year deal, 4 games, 5 if you want to include the Charity Shield, into his time at Arsenal, man. I just feel the Havertz one was the high risk, high reward, and that was the one that was really going to define our summer, because that's the midfield signing. We have got our new look midfield. Obviously, Declan Rice, great footballer. Havertz has come into players at 8. I don't know how Havertz at this moment in isolation, in his own way, gets us closer to City. So fortunately, I'm not Arteta in it. I don't see the game how he sees the game. So I hope it bangs where Havertz is concerned, man. Really and truly, I really do, man.
I really do. I really do hope it works out for him as a player, as well as us for a club and for us as fans, man. Because, bro, we're at a level now. It's fine margins, bro. Because we're going against
margins. And against City, fine margins. That's why I'm kind of more harsher on the team, because the expectations has gone. And even me, I've got, as much as I say we shouldn't be loyal to players, I was upset Tierney when, I was initially upset when Tomiyasu became a marginalized figure, but the more levels we got, the harsher you have to be. People that helped us become a top 4 team, they might not be able to either be at the club or play a prominent role in getting us league titles and things like that. And I like Arteta because he's shown that. There was a point where he was playing Aubameyang, playing Pepe, playing Xhaka, and obviously time has shown us that, boy, like, Arteta's loyal to the club, he's loyal to himself in a nice way, and he's going to make harsh decisions to get us to where we need to get to as a football club, really and truly. What have you made? Go on.
No, bro, you make a good point. It's true that it's fine margins, man. And if this was 2-3 seasons ago, and we're fighting for top 4, you can make the mistakes. You can afford to play someone like Havertz because you can afford to drop points along the way in the season. Now we haven't got no time for that.
There's every point counts, man.
Every single point counts. So whereas he might not fit in the system now, and we say, oh, you might fit in later.